Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And we've just, I tell you what, Deborah,
You've had a full week.
It's been a full week, but just a lot in the news. I spotted a story from Walton County that just warmed my heart. There was a land deal in Walton County, and
There's always a land deal.
there was a land deal in Walton County, and
Pray tell me, did it involve the government buying somebody's private land?
yes, it did.
At a more than fair price?
Apparently so.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe word of subpoenas flying all over the place about land deals, but the Walton County Commission actually took it upon themselves to tell the attorney that facilitated the deal that you'll have to step aside while we thoroughly investigate everything that's going on here. So that was kind of good. See, government getting ahead of the other government agency that's supposed to be looking at them.
There's something in the air. Let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I shudder to think if our Board of County Commissioners would have said, hey, let's wait a minute on this Pullum deal. We think there's a legal problem here.
Yeah.
How about let's everybody step back and let's pull an independent third party in here to take a look.
Especially since they had several citizens step forward and tell them exactly that several times.
Exactly. Well, very, very busy week. And you may see this in a show down the road. We don't know for sure right now, but I was invited to Wakulla County and spoke before the League of Women Voters, and also and folks, you gotta love this. I mean, you know what we're about here at Santa Rosa Week TV. We kind of look with a jaundiced eye towards tourist development councils and economic development councils, and so while I was down there, one of the guys said, "Hey, stick your head in a minute at the TDC meeting," and so I did, and as soon as the new face, showed up, they immediately wanted to know who I was, what my connection was, what I was doing there, and so it was kind of interesting. They're working on a $900,000 federal grant, so should be kind of interesting there.
Well, see, the TDC has a bit of a disadvantage to some of the economic development agencies because they have to operate in the sunshine because they were created by the legislature.
They're required.
Yeah,
yes,
they can't weasel out of it like the economic development agencies have been.
Yeah, and I think we've probably said this before, but for anybody who's in the audience, the Tourist Development Council was basically a mandate from the state that every county will have a Tourist Development Council. It will have one county commissioner. It will have so many board members, and their job is to take the dollars generated from bed tax and to best spend that money in whatever they think, events, advertising, whatever, to bolster tourism in whichever county you're in.
And we've seen the jackals fighting over the money recently in Pensacola with the chamber oversees their tourist development council.
About $5 million a year is collected in Escambia County, and you know, unless you've been living under a rock, I mean, that thing got blasted all over the world. Channel 3, all the newspapers, and we even talked about it here. Folks seem to move aggressively towards large pots of money.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Well, we've described stuff like that. We've described these ridiculous projects like the Maritime Park. It's a carcass. Right. And you know, the vultures land on the carcass and they just strip everything they can off the carcass. And then they move on and there's nothing left but a pile of bones.
Soon as they've stripped everything off of that carcass, they look for the next carcass.
Yes, indeed.
You know, but you know, in the last few years, they've it didn't start with buzzards. It's actually more of birds of prey. They're knocking down the live animal before it hits the ground.
Right.
And then the vultures move in to pull the rest of it.
And then the money's in the pot, and then it gets redistributed towards these various like public relations contract, all these contracts.
Right.
That it goes out, and you never see any kind of productivity figures from these agencies. You know, we brought in X amount of people, or we created X amount of jobs. You don't see those numbers. You just see the money disappear into the ether.
Well, you know, I mean, folks, look, I mean, we showed you the videotape a couple shows ago. I mean, it's just like Team Santa Rosa. Deborah very politely and nicely asked, could you show your job numbers? And the answer from Cindy Anderson was no. You know, so
yeah, they didn't have that day.
Yeah, they didn't have it that day. Although 40 hours a week, that's what they're supposed to be doing. They had no recollection of what their job numbers might be.
And they came there that day so that the county commission and public
could extend their contract.
Well, but they want to get public. We've got these series of meetings so that the public can tell them what they should be doing.
Yeah.
What you want us to be doing.
Right.
At which point I went up and said, we want you to facilitate job creation. How about creating some jobs for your $90,000 a year salary?
Right.
And there was no response.
Yeah, no response. And you know, and look, and you know, I mean, I feel obligated to say it again. Team Santa Rosa has been under a contract for 3 years. Not one time has there been a public reckoning of what they've accomplished. Now that they're under intense heat.
Yeah.
Because they expected, honestly, folks, I believe they expected to walk across from their palatial offices behind McDonald's. I think they really believed that they were just going to walk across the parking lot and they would get a 2-year extension on their contract, and that didn't occur.
Yeah.
You know, look, everybody who spends government dollars should be, with a smile on their face, with the documents in their hand, should be ready to show the public what they do with it.
Yeah. Well, and let's also add, the county commission has had the ability all along to say, cut the purse strings,
Right.
No more money for you, we don't see any productivity from you. And they haven't done it. And really, I mean, that's where the ultimate blame, if you will, lies.
Well, you know,
handed a money hand over fist.
I mean, you know, you've done it. I have done it too. Stood before the Board of County Commissioners, giving them reason after reason after reason to discontinue the contract. The sideline things that are happening now, and some of the comments that are coming out of the employees of Team Santa Rosa, has become also is a problem for me, because they're increasingly, I think, detrimental. You know, we're not worried. You know that. Then they threw the county under the bus over the $5 million lawsuit over the parking lot for Clearwire.
Yeah.
You know, here's my 2 cents worth, and I've actually expressed it to a couple folks. Considering everything that's going on right now, we've got 5 FBI subpoenas that have been issued in Santa Rosa County. We have a $5 million lawsuit against us. We have a myriad of other things that are occurring right now. I think the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners should actually tell everybody that he will be the spokesperson for Santa Rosa County from here on out, rather than some of the things that we've seen put out there. You know, and that's just a sideline to the problem that I have with Team Santa Rosa. Now, speaking of Team Santa Rosa, folks, and let me go over that again. At a previous county commission meeting, a schedule was set for October, preliminarily, that there was going to be a meeting held on October the 6th at 9 a.m. at the commission chambers to make a pass and look at Team Santa Rosa.
And they want public input.
And they want public input. I will tell you that there was a great deal, and many citizens that contacted some of our county commissioners and insisted that it is ridiculous to have a meeting only at 9 o'clock when the working people who have a vested interest in all of this cannot attend the meeting. So after a great deal of public pressure was placed, on the same day, October the 6th, at 6 p.m. there will be another public hearing regarding Team Santa Rosa. Now, for all of you that are watching this broadcast, please, a lot of effort went forth to make sure that there was a meeting at night so the citizens could have input regarding pro or con of economic development in Santa Rosa County. I would like for you to take the time to go ahead and put that on your calendar, and please load up the family, go get grandma and grandpa and some of your neighbors, and come down to the Board of County Commission meeting October the 6th at 6 p.m. and put your 2 cents worth in.
And ask them where the jobs are.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be a podium there and a microphone. Feel free to walk forward, and whatever you're told, I would like for you not to take it for face value. Right after you say, what are the jobs you've created, then I'd like for you to say, prove it.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me the company names, numbers, and of course then we'll be verifying those. That's why they weren't, in my opinion, provided, is because they're so easy to verify.
Oh, well, exactly. You know, and look, here's one of the sad things that happened recently. There was an industry luncheon appreciation held, and I don't know if you guys have seen in the media, but the former TRX Tata
How is it now?
had announced that they would be shutting down operations, and there would be a loss of 189 jobs December the 31st. At the industry appreciation luncheon, Tata was given an award for their job creation.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's a slap in the face, honestly. It's a slap in the face by people who make $90,000 a year and have full, and I mean full benefits, $70,000 a year, $40,000. I mean, sitting up there.
Health, dental.
Yeah, we have no
insurance.
Yeah, we've got no productivity figures. Right. Trip to Paris, trip to Latin America.
Trip to Honduras.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
2 trips to Latin America.
Yeah, I mean it would be funny if there were not so many people who can't make their their mortgage, their rent, buy food, etc., etc. It's just a slap in the face of those people.
Well, look, folks, can't stress this enough. Here is your opportunity to have your voice heard. The Board of County Commissioners will want to hear what you have to say. Take the time, October the 6th at 6 p.m. at the County Administrative Complex. Slide right on in there. Bare minimum, it should be an interesting thing to watch.
Yes, 6 p.m. or 9 a.m. if they can't make the night one. But
it should be very interesting to watch. If you've never been to a county commission meeting, might I suggest you attend that one? I think
you'll be there, and I'll be there.
Yes.
And one of us at least will probably be speaking for some period of time.
I would imagine that between the two of us, we might wedge in a comment or two.
I'm guessing so. In the interest of public input.
That's right.
They're looking for our input.
Because we are the public.
Yes, and we do have input.
And it's still America, and we do get to give public input.
Yes, that is correct.
Folks, by the time you watch this, of course, it would already have passed. But Cindy Anderson, representing Team Santa Rosa as the custodian of records, was required to go before a grand jury and bring forth all the documents that the FBI had subpoenaed of them. And the county attorney, Miss Angela Jones, was required to also go before the same grand jury and certify, bring the records that was involved in the grand jury.
And she made a comment, I think, in the press to the effect of, we're not able to get our work done because we've had all these, these records requests and we're so busy filling them. And, if some of the stuff hadn't happened, and she wasn't here for a lot of this stuff, but if it hadn't happened, this process wouldn't have been kicked into motion where these records have been requested.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you reminded me of that, Deborah. Also, the Board of County Commissioners just recently approved a cost structure when you as a citizen request public records. Now I'll tell you, I have requested my fair share, but honestly, over the last probably 6 to 8 months, I've only asked a couple fairly simple questions. I know a couple other folks that have asked for very small volume of stuff. Our county attorney in the press made comments of the I believe it was 95,000 emails that were requested, and just for the record, I didn't request 95,000 emails. I have a strong suspicion that was potentially the FBI's request in their subpoena that entailed 95,000 emails. And I felt.
You know what though? I wonder if they had to redact anything with the FBI. I bet they didn't have to go through and redact anything.
Probably just had to pull them.
Yeah.
But one of the interesting things that came out of it, and look, I've never balked one time. Deborah's been a witness to it. We go to Team Santa Rosa and have to pull out $1.37 to pay for a document. That's fine. I'm not going to howl about that. It's what the law says. If that's how you want to be about it, when I'm making a little simple request, so be it. I'll be more than happy to pay for it, as long as it's reasonable. But one of the things that was discovered in this new quest for a policy that the county attorney pushed through is that Santa Rosa County had technically, I won't say illegal, well, I will say illegally. They had illegally set a policy that every DVD would cost $10. Mm-hmm. And what was brought forward was that the state of Florida, when the document that you're looking for, or the video recording you're looking for is already sitting on a server somewhere, that the state of Florida only charges 50 cents. So one of the changes that were made before the new ordinance became official was that 50 cents would be the charge for the DVDs. And I know myself, and I'm quite certain Alan and a few other people that I know that have requested documents, we've always tried to be a gentleman about it, and we've brought DVDs with us, so it would be the county having to pay for those. I guess we need to have a policy. We need to have a policy, but in my humble opinion, I believe the policy was driven because of the intense last 3 weeks of gathering up documents for the FBI.
Could have been. And the other thing I'll point out, and I pointed this out, I went up and spoke and pointed this out, is that it's also incumbent on them to store those records in such a way that they can be accessible in less than half an hour. Because they're saying if it takes longer than half an hour, you have to pay the employee. They should be accessible more quickly than that. I mean, they need to find a way to store them where you can get to them fast.
Well, one of the things, and folks, so that you'll understand, our previous county attorney who had been with us for, I don't know, 15, 16, 17, many years, he made sure that when documents were stored, stuff that would have sensitive medical information on it was segregated. If there was effort put forth in the storage of the emails, so that when somebody came in and requested emails, you wouldn't have to go through that redaction. And for those of you, and this is just one of Jerry's tips about gathering public records. The agencies that don't want to give you something, they will immediately start throwing the redaction word at you. And certainly if you're requesting documentation, for example, of an automobile wreck. Let's say you go to the sheriff's department and you want a public record of an automobile wreck or a 911 call. Now, I certainly understand a certain sensitivity in that, but the bottom line is the public record should be made available, and with the exception of a person's previous medical condition or their social security number, I mean, I can understand a little redaction on that, but most of the time what myself and other people have requested has just been straight out emails. And I'll say at Team Santa Rosa, they started in on me about, well, we'll have to look at that and redact, and I just looked at them and said, you know what? The computer that's sitting on your desk is paid for by me. It is supposed to be used for government work that's assigned to you, and I'm not paying for the redaction of soccer schedules and personal information that might be stored on that
especially
computer.
since there's a little blurb on the bottom of every government email that says,
That's right.
this is a public record, be aware of that when you
Exactly.
write stuff on it.
So as far as the and just to throw out a little bit, I know there's been a lot of questions about this, and actually I had to go research it myself a little bit. The state of Florida uses a grand jury system. So does the federal government. In Escambia County, Florida, downtown Pensacola is where the federal grand jury meets. Those events that occur inside of that building are kept secret. Typically what happens if somebody gets an invitation to go before the grand jury, they're the only person in there. There's not a lawyer. A grand jury can consist from anywhere from 18 to 22 people. And the purpose of the grand jury is to probe and to see if there is evidence in hand of something that should go to trial.
Yes.
And it's kept secret until an indictment is made, and then it becomes, still the proceedings are held secret, but the fact that an indictment has occurred becomes public record, and then you proceed on through the court system. So, there's not going to be a lot of information coming out about what goes on inside the doors, just to let you know ahead of time. Should they find, and I mean the whole purpose of the grand jury is to look and to probe and to see if there is a problem that needs attention through the courts, then you would know something about it. So that's kind of where we are on that. It's kind of just a wait and see. If there are any additional subpoenas that are issued, then you'd have the same process that you saw recently. Whoever's a custodian of records is going to be required to take them to the federal courthouse and hand those out. We got one other issue that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to give you the nuts and bolts of a situation that occurred. The point of discussion is the Navarre Pier, and I want to we're going to back up and start at the beginning of the new pier. Santa Rosa County, there was a private pier, had been there years and years. Storm after storm had knocked it down. It was damaged even further with Hurricane Ivan. The commissioners asked FEMA if that would be something that they could consider for to replace the pier. They agreed that it was. And just from a personal note, certainly I got up before the commissioners and expressed my hope and wish, at least more than once, as I recall, that the pier be rebuilt, because it was something that I spent many days, hours and days of enjoyment on. And also when it looked like it was actually going to happen, I had some input and made some comments. Specifically about handrails was one thing I was concerned about, because usually they put them a little too high for the average person. And
I would describe you as an avid fisher.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people
that
you find down there on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the pier gets built, and then of course there was a discussion of, well, how we're going to manage the pier. Now, I'll tell you up front, my personal feelings was that we should handle it through Parks and Recreation, and we should hire some of the kids during the summertime to work down there and let them earn a little money and all. But anyhow, the Board of County Commissioners put out an RFP for management of the building and to oversee the pier. And the process went through. one group was finally picked, Pier Inc., and they've been running a pier. What occurred recently was, and understand this is a fishing pier. Certainly you can walk on it, you can sightsee off of it, but it's a fishing pier.
And it belongs to the county.
And it belongs 100% to the county. Over this weekend, several folks noticed that there was a sign posted at the entrance to the pier that said the Octagon, and that is the end of the pier, and that is where a lot of folks like to fish. I mean, people can fish the whole length of the pier, but that's where
the farthest point out.
The farthest point out. There was a sign posted that said the Octagon would be closed from 3 p.m. until 7 p.m. And what we learned, and I was there, and several other folks, Deborah stopped by. What we learned was there was going to be a private wedding held for the pier manager's daughter on the end of the pier. And you know, I've had some conversations with several commissioners over this, and I've seen some of the comments that has been in the media, and there's no authority to close any portion of that pier for any reason. It just doesn't exist. Certainly, this situation has caused a great deal, a massive amount of communications, and I think virtually every newspaper has written a story on it now. The story was picked up by the AP and has been in Miami and Lafourche, Louisiana, and all over the countryside. Currently, my understanding is that there will be a commission meeting on October the 10th at 9 a.m. and my understanding is that will be on the agenda. That will be one of the items on the agenda. So, should you want to express an opinion about the operation of the pier, write that down in your calendar also. October the 10th at 9 a.m. It should be on the agenda, and I don't know how this thing's going to go, but I think there's some very strong feelings about it.
Yeah.
And as this goes along, we'll catch you up to date. So I'm Jerry Cooley.